our last lesson on Melody Lowdown, we talked about how notes are the very basic building blocks of music and how we hear these notes almost all the time. To check out the answers for your take-home questions for lesson 1, find them in the description below for this lesson. Now, let's get into today's lesson. Let's say you were the only one who heard a certain note at a certain time, and you decide that you would like to write down what you heard so you won't forget it. How would you do it? Is that even possible? To write down sound on paper? Yes, it is possible, and today's lesson will teach you how it's done. You're welcome to Guitar Clinic, and today it's going to be about helping you become musically literate. Though the range of pitch we use in music is finite, the number of notes you could extract from any finite pitch range is infinite. Wait, what? Yes, a finite range of pitch contains an infinite number of notes. This is because a pitch range is a continuous and unbroken continuum that can be divided into smaller and smaller points over and over again, with each point representing a unique pitch for a unique note. To better understand this infinite number of points concept, here's a real-life analogy. Let's liken that finite pitch range in music to a straight road that leads from your house to, say, the mall, which is just down your street. Now, that distance is finite, isn't it? In other words, it has a beginning, that's your house, and an end, which is the mall. If you decide to walk at a normal pace from your house to the mall, and you decide that every step you would take would mark the position of an imaginary musical note on the road, imagine how many notes you would record. Okay. Say your cousin, who is much smaller than you are, decides to walk at his normal pace that same journey, but he'll do that now with his smaller legs along that finite path. How many steps or notes do you think he or she would record? More than yours, not so? Why? Yes, because his footsteps will be smaller than yours. Now let's go further and imagine if someone smaller than the both of you decides to walk that same distance at his normal walking pace. How many notes would his feet mark? Even more. So you see, as long as you can find smaller footsteps, you would identify even more and more imaginary notes. And just as it is with physical distance, so it is with the acoustic distance, which is measured with the pitch of a note. However, you would agree with me that it would be very confusing if everyone went to that infinite collection of music notes and picked his own number of notes to use in making his own tunes, and then went about teaching others to do just like he or she did. That would be a confusing mess, right? So, for the sake of uniformity, the fathers of music selected a few notes from the many multitude of notes available for use. And going back to our analogy of walking down a road, they did that by choosing a particular size of footsteps to select a finite number of notes they'll need. And when the working was done, they ended up reducing the number of notes from infinity to just about 88 notes. Whew, what a relief. But another challenge arose. How do you give unique names to 88 notes? Here's how they did it. Borrowing from a few characters from the English alphabets, all 88 or so music notes are named after only the first 7 alphabets. And there are some notes with not so English names, but they are still named after the A to G alphabet characters. But remember, we need names for about 76 more notes to make it up to the 88 notes we've got, right? No worries. The fathers of music took care of this by simply duplicating these names a number of times. Hang on a little more. Aha. Now, while 2 or more notes may bear the same name, remember, it's their pitch that ultimately differentiates each of them, and it's not their colors as I used here. We'll talk about how to represent this differentiation on paper later on. For now, let's take a look at a single set of notes where no repetition of names occurs. For the notes with not so English characters on them, what they are carrying is the hash superscript. Well, in music lingo, those superscripts are called sharps. So, if you see this, you should call it an A sharp. Any note carrying a sharp derives its name from the note just before it. For example, F sharp was named after the F note just behind it, and C sharp was named after the C note just behind it. I bet you've also noticed how it is only the note pairs B and C and E and F that have no sharpened notes between them. I like to call these pairs of notes the married notes. Try to remember this and you'll be able to recall the entire unique set of note names from start to finish without making a mistake. Remember, all you need to do is put sharpened notes between every note except between B and C and E and F. Want to give it a try? Okay, let's do it. Ready? Let's go. Starting from A. Great! Now, these sharpened notes have an alternate name. You can liken it to a surname. See those funny looking B symbols? They are called flats. So, if you see, you call it a B flat. Similar to the case of notes with sharps, but with a slightly different approach. Notes with flats are named after the notes ahead of them. So, the B flat note is named after the B note which is immediately ahead of it. And the G flat note is named after the G note just ahead of it. When you're composing a piece of music, however, you cannot call a note two names at the same time. you need only stick to one naming style, either the sharpened style or the flattened style. Let's stick to calling the notes by their sharp names. One more thing. The order in which these notes are listed here is according to their pitch. You remember what pitch is in music, right? Therefore, the A sharp sounds higher than the A that is immediately before it. And a D would sound higher than the B before it. When notes are arranged in this order, it is called a chromatic scale. A chromatic scale only contains the 12 unique note names. Finally, no note is inferior to the other. Notes carrying sharps are as much a note in every way as those that don't carry sharps. With this, we have come to the end of the lesson. To see how well you've taken it all in, here's a question and the take-home research for you. Question 1. How many unique musical note names do we have? And for your research question, here it is. If scientists measure physical distance in units such as meters and feet, in what unit do they measure the pitch of a musical note? Right, so send your answers to the email in the description. In our next lesson, we will be looking at how to walk those footsteps and how to use them to move from one note to the other. This is the first technical knowledge you must have if you want to know the principle behind playing notes on any musical instrument. Thanks for watching. Do subscribe to this channel not to miss out on any of our lessons as they are created. Just click the bell so you can be notified of new lessons when they come out. See you soon.